Taylor Swift, one of the most influential singer-songwriters of her generation, has carefully curated a list of 5 songs from her expansive discography to represent the essence of her musical and lyrical achievements. This selection was made as part of her nomination process for the prestigious Songwriters Hall of Fame class of 2026, a tradition where nominees submit a handful of their works for voters to evaluate before the final decision. At just 35 years old, Swift's inclusion in the nominee list already speaks volumes about her impact on the music industry, and her chosen tracks highlight the breadth, depth, and evolution of her artistry over nearly 2 decades. The 5 songs Swift selected are All Too Well 10-minute version, Blank Space, Anti-Hero, Love Story, and The Last Great American Dynasty. Each one represents a different era, style, and facet of her songwriting prowess. Love Story, from her 2008 album Fearless, is a cornerstone of her early country pop sound, a Romeo and Juliet-inspired tale of young, forbidden love that became an anthem for teenagers everywhere. Its clever reimagining of Shakespeare with a happy ending showcased Swift's knack for blending literary references with relatable emotions, propelling her to global stardom. Moving forward in time, Blank Space from 2014's 1989 marked Swift's full embrace of pop music. This satirical track was a direct response to media portrayals of her as a serial dater, flipping the narrative by exaggerating it into a dark, humorous confession. Lines like, "Got a long list of ex-lovers / they'll tell you I'm insane," turned criticism into empowerment, demonstrating Swift's sharp wit and self-awareness. It was a cultural moment, topping charts and solidifying her transition from country sweetheart to pop powerhouse. The Last Great American Dynasty, from 2020's Folklore, exemplifies Swift's storytelling mastery in her indie folk phase. The song weaves the real-life history of Rebecca Harkness, the eccentric former owner of Swift's Rhode Island mansion, with fictionalized parallels to Swift's own life. It's a brilliant exercise in narrative songwriting, full of vivid imagery, historical details, and subtle commentary on wealth, scandal, and legacy. This track highlights how Swift can craft intricate tales that feel both personal and universal, drawing listeners into richly built worlds. Anti-Hero, the lead single from 2022's Midnights, brings introspection to the forefront. Here, Swift confronts her own flaws, self-sabotage, paranoia, and insecurity, with brutal honesty. I Wake Up Screaming from Dreaming / One Day I'll Watch As You're Leaving captures the anxiety of relationships tainted by internal demons. It's a modern pop masterpiece that resonates deeply in an era of mental health awareness, proving Swift's ability to evolve while staying emotionally raw. Finally, All Too Well 10-minute version, released as part of Red, Taylor's version, in 2021, is widely regarded as Swift's magnum opus. The extended cut expands on the original 2012 heartbreak ballad, adding verses that paint an even more devastating picture of a failed relationship with an older man. Details like the scarf left at a sister's house became iconic symbols, fueling fan theories and analyses. Its cinematic quality, emotional depth, and lyrical precision make it a standout example of Swift's growth as a storyteller. The announcement of these selections has ignited passionate discussions among Swift's dedicated fanbase, known as Swifties. Many applaud the choices for covering a wide spectrum of her career, from youthful romance in Love Story to mature self-reflection in Anti-Hero. The picks emphasize cultural impact, storytelling innovation, and lyrical brilliance, aligning perfectly with the Hall of Fame's focus on songwriting excellence. Supporters argue that these songs demonstrate Swift's range, from radio-dominant hits to critically acclaimed deep cuts, and her influence on how artists reclaim narratives through re-recordings and extended versions. However, not all fans agree on the lineup. Some feel certain albums were underrepresented, pointing out the absence of tracks from Evermore, The Tortured Poets Department, or even deeper cuts from Folklore like Exile or Champagne Problems. Others suggest alternatives such as Out of the Woods, Style, Happiness, Ivy, The Prophecy, or Tolerate It for their poetic complexity. One common critique is the lack of collaboration-heavy songs or those showcasing her experimental side. Jokes abound about the impossibility of narrowing down her catalog, with fans quipping that Swift should have been allowed more than 5 or even letting them vote.